Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cross Culture Critic. I'm Chris.
And I'm Joe.
What up?
How you guys doing? How you doing, Chris?
I am good. I have been lately Instagramming up a storm.
Yes, I know you have.
Like I love this. I know you're on the gram.
I'm on the gram. Is that what it's called?
That's what I believe it's called.
Okay.
I was resistant to it for so long because I thought I kind of had to be a white girl who liked pumpkin spice lattes.
Okay.
To love Instagram because that's what people did.
Right.
And I don't know.
Or CrossFit.
Or CrossFit.
It's it's that demographic that you said, that section of the population, and then those that CrossFit, and then they do is Instagram their CrossFitting workouts.
Well, I do love to CrossFit. So
you do.
It's crazy.
You are a fit individual, a CrossFit individual.
Yes, I am. But yeah, I started doing it because I thought it would be a good way to draw people to my blog, and then I realized you don't really put links or anything in there, so it's a bad way to draw people to your blog.
Yeah.
But I just started loving it, like putting up pictures of my kids or whatever I was doing because it was such a nice break from Facebook.
Yeah, see, I when it came out, like Facebook was Facebook and other things, had come out, Twitter, like I went on Twitter and I was like, why am I on Twitter? Because I'm on Facebook. So that's kind of the same thing. Like you're just kind of putting out blurbs or how you feel or what's going on at that moment. And so like I was like, I don't need to be on Twitter. So I only did Facebook. But then the whole Instagram thing where it's like a picture is worth 1,000 words, I can go on Facebook and, put like, oh, my Fighting Irish are doing great. I'm so happy to be watching the game or whatever. But then like on Instagram, I can like take a picture of my kids fishing, up at my dad's on a nice, beautiful, Michigan summer day.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag pure Michigan.
Hashtag pure Michigan. Hashtag blessed.
And, so... And it's different. And you can, obviously, I sound like I'm 60 years old. And then you can link the picture to the Facebook. But, so I just think it's different. So those people that follow me on Facebook and those people that follow me on Instagram, I definitely think you're getting two different helpings from Joe Yerke.
Well,
and it's not just the same thing,
As a social media scholar, which I am, a new media scholar, if you will, you're right. Like, it's different. You use it for different things. Like, you mentioned Twitter. I love Twitter. But I love Twitter because I follow a bunch of writers who share their articles. So there's always something I'm reading, or I love the comedy angle of it. Like, putting things in 140 characters just is really funny. There's some really great comedy on there. Facebook's kind of where I go to... talk about Trump.
You do.
Yeah, I do. I love it. Like, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. We're recording this before Thanksgiving. You're hearing it way after. But I am, just ready at the dinner table. Oh, I like this pie. You know what I don't like? Racism.
Right,
just throw
that out there with the family.
I think everyone should have seconds. You know what I don't think they should have? Guns. Like, it's going to be a great Thanksgiving. Right. But, in all seriousness, Instagram I love because it's not political. There's, no one's having arguments on Instagram. And I have to think about what I'm going to post. So I think about, I'm going to take a picture of my kids. I'm going to take a picture of this little thing I'm doing right now. And it makes me think about what I'm thankful for. I see what other people are happy about. It's just a little happy place on the internet.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of
like, the other thing I like about Instagram is that, like, when you friend somebody on Facebook, like, you friend them and your stuff starts popping up in their feed, their stuff starts popping up in your feed. If you don't know somebody and you're like, oh, how do I know this person? Instagram is like, I'm guessing like Twitter in that sense, where like someone can follow you, but you don't have to follow them. They send you like, so-and-so wants to follow you, confirm. But if you don't hit, I'm going to follow them back. I mean, I get up and in the morning, I go through my Instagram and like before I go to bed, I go through my Instagram. I don't check it a whole lot during the day. Most of it now is your feed, because you are an Instagram junkie all of a sudden.
I am an Instagram fiend.
Yeah. I think I've learned more about you in the last 2 weeks than since we've been doing this.
Look at my kids. Look at the cuteness.
Yeah, look at #cuteness. Can you believe it?
I made this.
Yeah, exactly. This child came from my loins with my wife on a twisted, decadent evening. I don't know what we're talking about. But it was a fateful evening just like this. When we got picked up by Large Marge.
Oh, it was we were feeling kind of randy after that Goldberg rerun.
Right. So, but so let's move on from that because I don't know where I'm going to take it. But so Instagram, it is fun. It's definitely something to do. You're a junkie like Matt on it. I kind of do with the Instagram what you do with Twitter. Like I kind of follow some. Like I'll do it for like a season. Like I'll follow like a bunch of bands, and then after a while I get sick of just seeing like the same stuff, and then unfollow them, and do some sports guys, and then unfollow them. But I only have maybe 20 people, like 20 things that are popping up in my feed. I don't think I follow that many people.
All of them are my brats.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, we'll put a link to our Instagrams in the show notes.
Yeah.
But we'll move on because it's almost Christmas, and we're not talking anything about Christmas today. Now that I think about it, but we've got a lot on the plate, including an icebreaker. And I think this is actually, it's not the first time we've taken a question from a listener, but it is a question from a listener from Luis Carlos, who is one of our most dedicated listeners. Like. He is every time we post an episode. I love it. He comments. He participates. I am so thankful for Luis, and he always asks good questions. And he wanted to know, are the 80s the new 60s? And he didn't really extrapolate on that, but
because he wanted us, the professionals,
he wanted us to figure out what that meant.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, what do you think he meant by that, first off? And are the 80s the new 60s?
Like, when I think of the 60s, I think of two things. I think of fashion and I think of music. Mm-hmm. The fashion, unfortunately, people who listen to the show or know me know that I do not like hippies. I don't like the hippie movement. I don't like the hippie, anything that deals with hippie.
But they love you.
But they love me. They do. So when I think of the 60s, like I think of like the hippie style. And since I've been a kid, I was born in 1977. So when I was old enough to realize fashion, it was the 80s. Mm-hmm. And there was still the hippie, bell bottom, all that whole outfit that like girls wear. Just that very tree hugger, you know what I mean? I can't think of any of the stuff.
Flower girl.
Yeah, like all that stuff, like kind of the hair like that and the bell bottoms, like all that stuff, and like the knit shirts or what, I don't know. But it's gone from decade to decade. And like I knew kids in my high school that were just very hippie-ish. And even now in 2017, there's still people out there that are very hippie-ish. So the 60s, that part of it has lasted. With music, some of the best music came out of the 60s. And so there's fantastic bands that I still listen to. I don't want to say on a daily, but let's maybe say monthly, that, I will listen to that are from the 60s. So fast forward to the 80s, I think it's gone on longer. I think it's gone on long enough to where you can't call it a fad. Like this whole thing with 80s babies
starting to come back, all the things we love.
Well, like the music, 80s music has come back in a big way, and obviously like bands are coming through town more often and more often and more often because they're capitalizing on it. And then the fashions all from back then have been tweaked slightly. They're not the exact 80s fashions that were happening when we were kids, but they're tweaked, but it's those neon colors, it's the crazy graphics and those types of things, the sunglasses, all that. So I think like the music and the fashion, it's lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. Like I'm trying to think of like other fashion that came out. It was kind of here, and then like
every decade kind of comes back and lasts a bit.
Yeah, like what were those pants that like women used to gaucho pants?
Okay,
so something like those gaucho pants that like women used to wear a decade ago. Like they were big for like a summer or maybe two, but then they left. But like for a good solid 5 years or more, like kids have been wearing the big like tennis shoes like they did in the 80s, the neon colors, the fashion, the hairdos. Like I mentioned a couple episodes ago that my daughters were in a cheerleading competition. Mm-hmm. And the African American kids that were at the competition, like they had like the hairstyles like Kid and Play.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like the high top, hairdos and stuff like that, like the 80s hairdos, track suits, all that type of thing is definitely back. So when I'm asked that question, are the 80s the new 60s? I would say yeah.
They're just that one that, like, because I don't know, you get these off decades where they'll come back a little bit, but they don't last. Like, no one wants to dress up like the 70s anymore.
Correct, right.
And
the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s are going to come.
And like that
ska
kind of,
and
exactly. Now ska, man, I'd love to be able to wear a suit and Doc Martens and stuff every single day.
But yeah, the 80s like just sticks around.
It does.
And I think it's so weird because I think the thing that's different too is, my dad couldn't go back and pull up his favorite show from the 60s on a whim or anything. But we're in the internet age where if I want, I can go to YouTube and pull up DuckTales.
Yeah, or Perfect Strangers.
You can go to Hulu. Hulu has every Perfect Strangers now. Yeah. Everyone. And I am going to sit down and watch the heck out of that.
Yeah, but it is. And like, now that I'm even thinking about it a little more, like the 60s was a very radical, political. Obviously, you had Vietnam, and you had people protesting. Some of the biggest protests in our history were in the 60s. You had a lot of riots, a lot of segregation, things like that were happening in the 60s. And then you had the whole Vietnam stuff and people protesting that. And now, here we are in 2017. We're living in an age where there's a lot of protesting going on, whether it's the president, whether it's, every day there's a new, if you can get 3 people together on the courthouse steps, there's 2 news cameras in front of you, and, there's a group of protesters out protesting, this video game. I just saw that, like that new
video game?
Yeah, the new Call of Duty World War II. So this is crazy. Little tangent, but I'll just be quick. The new Call of Duty World War II game came out. It's a World War II video game. In the video game, it's rated M for mature, tons of violence, bad language, all that stuff. In one of the scenes in the game, the American soldiers make their way into a French town that was controlled by the Nazis. And there's a depiction of 2 French soldiers hanging, that the Nazis hung. People aren't protesting the fact that they're showing pictures of human beings hanging from World War II. They're saying it's too much like the South, the Jim Crow South, and is reminiscent of the Civil War, and they want it taken out of the game. So Activision... I haven't heard
anything about this.
Oh, yeah. So Activision, who made the video game, did like a press release that said, no, it's not depicting the South at all. It's depicting history.
I'm sure they have pictures
like,
they
read
can pull
a book
up and say, like, hey, here's where we took this from.
Right. I mean, I just think it's absolutely asinine to take World War II and say, well, you need to take this out of there because it reminds me of this that happened in the South and play that race card when it's like World War II happened. All this stuff happened. It has nothing to do, if it's depicting anything, it's depicting how awful the Nazis were. It has nothing to do with the Civil War, has nothing to do with the Jim Crow South. It has nothing to do with that. So those are the type of people that it's like, 5 people get together and like, oh, this video game needs to be changed, and they spotlight that. So I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know either, but I'm glad we went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like the 60s. We're all pissed off.
Yeah. So, well, that's what it was. So political protests and stuff like that. And it's coming back. Like, it seemed like the 90s, like nobody was protesting.
We were Generation X. We didn't care.
Yeah,
we didn't care about anything.
Like, we were like, when's the new Supertones album come out?
Nirvana, man.
Right.
I was a straight-laced kid in the 90s, so I didn't even know there was anything tumultuous going on. I want the 1880s to come back.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I want us to be walking around in chaps, carrying, not carrying guns because I'm against that, but riding horses. I want to turn on the radio and hear like, "Oh, my darling Clementine." Yeah. So I think we can move on from that icebreaker.
Yeah.
But Luis, thank you for that. And if any of you want to send in anything, go to our Facebook page or email us and send in questions. We're happy to take them. But we're kind of moving along, getting antsy, because you are about to head out on a trip, aren't you?
I am.
Where are you going?
I am going to Hawaii. And so this podcast is going to be coming out, around December 1st?
December 1st.
So in 3 days, I am leaving for Hawaii. I've been to all continental 48 states. I've been to Canada, been to Mexico, been to Europe, done all that stuff. But I've never been to Hawaii. I've never been to Alaska.
Okay.
Since my kids have been little, I don't know how, but my oldest, when she was young, she got hooked on Hawaii. I don't know where she saw it. Moana wasn't around.
Lilo and Stitch, maybe?
Maybe that, but maybe. I don't remember her really liking that movie all that much. But somehow, whenever, hey, where do you want to go? What's a trip? Anything like that would come up. My oldest Ella would always say, Hawaii. Well, monkey see, monkey do. Then her little sister has kind of grown up like, well, if she wants to go to Hawaii, it must be this amazing place. So she wanted to go to Hawaii. So my girlfriend enjoys going. She's been there two or three times prior. And she wants me to go to experience it with her because she loves it there on Maui. So finally, the stars aligned, the finances aligned, and we're able to go. So we're all heading down, me, my 2 daughters, my girlfriend and her daughter. We're all heading to Hawaii and going to have a good time for 8 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
we're
doing
a resort or...
Yeah, get this. So I hate flying. So the first thing we do is fly from Detroit to Seattle, then Seattle to Hawaii. So that right there sucks.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Once we get there, we're flying into Oahu, I think is the island that Honolulu's on. So we fly in there, rest that night, and get this. We wake up the next morning, we go 7 o'clock in the morning, shark cage diving.
Oh, nice.
So,
wow, you're kicking that off big.
Yeah, so you go down in this big shark cage, and then the cage has plexiglass. So it's like a plexiglass cube that's put in the shark cage. So you can't stick your hands between the bars.
Now, is it in a pen so they can guarantee there's sharks there?
It's not in a pen, but it's a guarantee. They absolutely guarantee sharks. It's a place where every day there's just tons of sharks swimming around.
Okay.
Not necessarily great whites, but hammerheads, blue, I think, things like that. Also at this time is the whales are coming back. So they say it's fantastic whale watching too.
Nice.
So you kind of get a 2 for 1 by doing this. But we're going to do the shark cage diving. Then we're going to go over to my girlfriend's really big into surfing. She doesn't surf, but there's just something about it that she loves, and she loves big wave photography and stuff. So there's an artist there. If you guys haven't checked out this artist, his name's Clark Little. You have to check out. Do Clark Little's Instagram account. It's just Clark Little, the original. It is the most amazing ocean photography you've ever seen in your life. And so we're going to hit his art gallery. And then we're going to hit some other things. And then my grandfather, my dad's dad, was in Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
He was president of Pearl Harbor Survivors Michigan chapter. And so we're going to hit Pearl Harbor. We're going to do that memorial. And the cool thing is we're going to be doing that so close. We can't actually do it on December 6th.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to be there on the 4th.
Okay.
So,
nice.
So we're going to be pretty close to it. Do that, and then we fly out to Maui and then spend the next 6 days in Maui eating pineapple and going to the top of volcanoes and bamboo forests. And
while we're all freezing here.
You know what else we're doing? I surprised my girls. You know the YouTube star Miranda Sings?
I don't.
You don't know who Miranda Sings is?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh. As soon as this podcast is done, I'm showing you a YouTube video. Miranda Sings. My girls love her. I think she's funny. Her stage show, she's performing on Maui while we're there.
Okay.
And so I busted the bank and got 8th row tickets for my daughters and passes to meet her backstage.
Nice.
So
wow.
Yeah.
Did you pull insider strings? I'm a performer as well.
You know what? I'm not going to say if I did or did not, but they were stoked. So I was going to tell them that I got tickets, but I wasn't going to tell them that they get to go backstage. And I couldn't keep it in. I'm bad at those secrets.
No, I am too.
And so I told them, and they are so stoked for it. So yeah, so then we're gonna be doing that in Hawaii and having a great time.
Nice. Yeah, very nice.
What about you? Any trips coming up?
No. No. I think my wife and
Cider mill.
Yeah, we're cider mill. We missed that. Missed that window. Yeah, we'll go to Frankenmuth.
Hey, that works,
get some
though.
chicken. We usually do that around Christmas. But
see, I've stopped doing the chicken in Frankenmuth. For those of you, most of you, I'm guessing. Well, Luis Carlos, I don't think he's local, is he?
No, he's Mexico.
Yeah. So we're talking to you, buddy. Here in Michigan, we have this little town called Frankenmuth. That's basically like you took a little snippet of Bavarian Germany and put it here in Michigan. So it's all like German architecture, German everything. Yeah. But everybody goes up there for chicken. Like it's the city famous for chicken too.
Good fried chicken. All you can eat.
It's okay fried chicken.
It's good fried chicken.
It's okay fried chicken. But have you ever actually had German food?
I have not.
In Frankenmuth?
No.
See, somebody told me that. Someone was like, don't get the chicken.
Okay.
Go to the Bavarian Inn and actually get
like one of their plates with like
sausage and sauerkraut.
Okay, but you still get like the mashed potatoes and the noodles and everything with that.
I don't know if you do.
Okay, because that's kind of my thing. That's what I like.
You like the accoutrement?
I like the all you can eat. Yes, yes. Oh, yes,
I did tell my girls that we had to go up to Frankenmuth soon because we had to. I'm in the mood to grub up there.
It's a Christmas tradition. We started doing it. We used to go the Sunday before Christmas, and then we kind of wised up and we're like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
like if you go to Frankenmuth, because the other thing you might not know is it's home to the world's largest Christmas store.
Yes,
and
the world's, not Michigan's. The world's largest Christmas store.
They advertise for this store all the way in Florida. Like, you can see billboards all the way in Florida. And if you go there... Like, so everyone goes to Frankenmuth for this. And we've also made the mistake of trying to go to Bronner's, which is the store.
Which is the store, yeah.
2 days before Christmas.
Oh.
And it's terrible.
It's like shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, it's shoulder to shoulder.
And the whole store goes in a giant circle.
Goes in a circle... We've had, our kids crying or running away from... Oh, it's terrible. So we've started going like the Tuesday or Wednesday after Christmas. And the town is empty. No problem getting a table. Christmas decorations are still up. You're still in a bit of a holiday mood anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm always in a holiday mood until New Year's. So my Christmas spirit goes until New Year's.
Yeah, and Bronner's closes at like 5 and no one's there. So it's nice. So we'll do that, but... I think other than that, we're saving up for Universal Studios in a few,
nice.
like in a year or so.
Nice.
But so is Hollywood. Yeah, no, Hawaii. Is that one of your bucket list places?
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah, I just want to be able to say that I went to all 50 states.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So I'm going to be stuck on 49 now with there's nothing in my future as far as getting up to Alaska because I don't think my girlfriend wants to go there.
You do an Alaskan cruise.
I know. And that would probably be what we opted for if we do it in the future. But my kids, I don't think they have any want or desire to go to Alaska.
Okay.
But I'd love to go. But it's definitely a bucket list. I mean, it's Hawaii, for Pete's sake. I mean, I love World War II. I love World War II history, all that stuff, again, with my grandpa. So I've always wanted to make it there to see the Arizona and just kind of take that whole thing in and see where he was when that all happened. He was at Schofield Barracks. So I'd love to be able to stop by there and check that all out and stuff. So it's definitely a bucket list thing.
Nice. But we were considering that for our honeymoon. Well, I was considering it, and Kelly didn't want to go because it was like too touristy.
Okay.
So we went to Dominican Republic instead, which was very nice.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Did a resort there.
I've been there. That's gorgeous.
It was nice. It was nice to just sit on the beach all day. We did a dinner on the beach. It was great. It was like $200.
And they make great cigars there.
Oh, yeah, we didn't
Best cigar I've ever had.
But that was, I think, one of the first times I started like. I don't want to say like really drinking, but like, we were at an all-inclusive resort, and it was like you swim up to the bar and say, "Hey, give me this fruity drink," and it was free, and so I think bucket list.
Give me another one of those drinks.
Yeah, I'm married. Give it to me. I deserve it.
Right, exactly. What have I done?
But I do want to go to Hawaii. My sister's been. They went for their honeymoon, and I do want to go. I also want to go to Europe. That's like my bucket list thing.
I love Europe.
I have never been. And
it's amazing.
My wife's been. I feel like as a movie fan and as a writer, I need to go to Paris at least once.
I love Paris. So many Americans don't like Paris because they're like, oh, the people are rude and this and that. And we went I was in Paris 2 weeks before Christmas one year.
Okay.
And so it was cold. It was snowy. I shouldn't say it was cold. It was cold enough to have snow, but it wasn't like Chicago cold where the wind's blowing. So, like, you're walking around with a jacket on, you see your breath, but, like, they have all these, like, little street markets and, like, street fair things going on. And so you get, like, I remember walking around with, like, a warm cup of wine, and walking around and all these, like, little shops and stuff are open. And in Paris, they light up the city with all these, like, lights. So the whole city have like Christmas lights up, and you can do tours and do all sorts of stuff where you drive around and see the lights of Paris. So I loved it. It wasn't the tourist season, so we were there when it was like normal people, and everyone was so nice to us, and I had an absolute blast in Paris.
Nice. Now,
absolute blast.
When you were at the Insyderz, was that a lot of traveling to play? Did you ever get to go to places like that? Or
oh, heck yeah. I've been to Europe twice, and the reason I was in Europe was because of the Insyderz.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have been able to afford at those times in my life to be able to get there. But the first time I went to Europe, we were asked to play a festival, and we went over there, and we got there because of jet lag and stuff. They always tell you to get there a day early and kind of rest up. So we got there a day early. We played that following day, and then the whole band left the next day. So, like, literally most of the band was only there 3 days and then had to fly back home. What a, kick in the nuts. My wife and I at the time, we took that as we got over there, and then we did the 3 days that we were there, and then when all the guys were coming back, we then took the train to Paris.
Okay.
And so we got to go see a little bit more of Germany, then we got to see Belgium, Luxembourg, and then into Paris and into France. Then a second time, probably about 5 years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we went over to Europe again, but we did like a 10-day or 2-week tour with a band called Good Weather Forecast, which is a great band from Germany. And then we also did a bunch of dates with one of my favorite bands of all time, Demon Hunter. And so it was Demon Hunter's first European tour. And so all the Europeans were just dying for those guys to come over.
Oh, the Demon Hunter!
Yeah, and so they came over, and I mean they put it to those Euros, and it was amazing. And I'm so glad I got to see those shows, and it was fantastic.
Now, I've always wondered, like, Spinal Tap has that thing where they learn at the end they're huge in Japan, or like David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany.
Right.
Was there like a certain country where Insyderz were just like, wow, we're really big here?
You know what? It's funny because when we first started, like the Insyderz first started, and we made our first record, a little A and B side. Oh, I actually have it right over here. This was given to me by one of our local record shop owners who recognized me as being in the Insyderz, and this was our first album we ever did. And so it's called Rockin' the Hubcat, and I have no clue where that title came from, but this was our vinyl, and it is absolutely awful. It's terrible. I don't even play it for people because I'm so embarrassed at the sound quality. But so our record company, I say record company. There used to be an amazing little record store in Berkeley, Michigan here called the Beat Hotel, and the guy that ran the Beat Hotel started like a little label for local bands. So he liked us, he signed us, and he put out like 100 albums, and they sold like right away. So he printed up more, and they sold. And somehow I remember him. His name was Russell. I remember him telling us that he could not send enough to Japan.
Really?
That Japan was just eating these things up. And so through our career, we would always say that, like, oh, we're huge in Japan, only because this little, album sold so much. But but we never went there. I've never been to Japan.
You guys never took that. Yeah, you guys could probably still go, be like Andor or something.
I know, but like I was about to. We were talking. The Insyderz have been talking about doing like Philippines, Japan, like maybe Australia, Philippines, Japan little tour, and then maybe a year later doing a South America tour. And we were kind of, if I remember right, we were kind of starting to talk about it and kick it around. And then I got hired by the Detroit Police Department and went to academy, and then all those plans were done. So we ended up, while I was in Detroit, I was able to go over to Europe and do 2 weeks over there because I got a 2-week vacation. But other than that, it was I don't think I'll ever get to Japan or Australia or any of that.
Well, I don't know. We might have pretty big listenership in Japan.
Well, that's true. We could do a tour.
We could do a live event out there.
Yeah, the Cross Culture Critic.
The Cross Culture Critic World Tour.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. One day we have to do a show about I'm sure you guys have funny stories from the road and stuff.
Oh, heck yeah!
And we're running out of time here, but definitely we'll set aside one for that. I wish that I would have had a job that made me let me travel. Like, I work for a university in Detroit, so everything I do is in Detroit right now. So I never travel. When I worked with the Army, I would be sent to, like, robotics conferences and stuff to write up them for the magazine. But every single one was always, like, in Texas in mid-August.
Right.
And it would be, like literally, I remember going out to Fort Hood, Texas, and it's 105 degrees outside. And literally
80% humidity.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then I think I went to El Paso once, and it was like 112 degrees, and just this scorching sun. And you would always go on these trips, and they would be like, you'd have a warning, like, you need to pee 5 times an hour or else you're dehydrated. Don't step here because a rattlesnake could
Right.
Don't leave this.
Fire ants. Yeah. That was always my favorite.
Don't leave this suburb because there's a drug cartel down here that might cut your head off. And it's like, that was the traveling I got to do. Yeah. And that sucked. So I would have liked that, but maybe, one day I'll be a rich and famous writer who gives talks in Paris.
There you go.
So we will go, so you can catch a plane soon.
Cool.
And continue your packing. But next time we're going to start talking Christmas.
Cool.
And so I want to hear your favorite songs, listeners. So let us know your songs. And
we're letting you know this before we do our next podcast.
Yeah. So if you have a favorite Christmas song or one you hate, like one you just want to avoid every year, post it to Facebook, email it in, and I don't think we'll be able to get it on the show because we're about to record it, but we will post it on our Facebook. I will post it on the blog, let's hear yours. What music do you hate or love at Christmas? Because we're gonna do 2 weeks of Christmas extravaganza.
Bam!
So it's gonna be 2 parts. So you don't want to miss that. You can find us both on Instagram. As we've talked about, and don't forget to visit crossculturecritic.com.
There you go.
All right, we'll see you.
See you.